Hi, my name is Rasmus, and I'm making a 3D top-down action adventure game. Busy days on our end, so I'll jump straight into it. Last time I shed some light on the roadmap for the game and showed how I finally cracked my level design block. We are now basically just crossing off items from the board to get the game to a playable state. So let me see, maybe we'll start with this one. Okay, so not the best one to start with, since the current version was actually working fine from an MVP standpoint. But what better way to give you a glimpse of real game development than to show you a developer procrastinating real and important development work for an easy visual improvement. Anyway, I did it, so let's just get through it. So I was getting a bit bored with the simple tilted squares and went for a slightly more polished UI. I went to Photoshop and created a simple shape for the energy resource and a similar but smaller shape for each of the players' lives. I built the default layout in the Unity scene and made the lives count tick up and down by animating each of the shapes. I also made animations for gaining lives, even though a healing system is still on the board and would probably have been a better item to take. Yeah, anyway. For the energy, I moved away from the counter and made a bar instead. I built in a short delay and a drop animation. Then just for the feeling, I made some small animations for gaining and losing life and energy. Nice. Oh, and yes, the symbol in the center here is going to be significant in some way, but I'll have to get back to you on that. Lastly, I moved the scrap metal counter to the top UI, created a small currency symbol, and this little animation for adding scrap metal was simply too cute not to add. After that, it was time to head back to the board for some more work. Having just proved that real game developers don't just take items off the board, I chose not to take a planned item, but instead moved on to add multiplayer. Nah, just kidding. I actually went with an important player ability. Now, shooting will be an upgrade for the player. In the full game, it will probably take some time for the player to get this power up, but in the demo, we want players to get their hands on this upgrade early so we can get some feedback on what is going to be a core mechanic. The power up itself is called the Frostbite Blaster and is in the equipment category. I will let you in on the other types of power-ups when they are implemented later. What you need to know now is that the equipment power-ups are the only ones that are actually visible outside of UIs. So I went to Blender to model it out. This was quite simple, as the Frostbite Blaster is basically just replacing the lower right arm and hand with a cannon. So I changed up the arm a bit, added some light and a glow material, and it was ready. Next, I implemented the aiming mechanic. Now when the player holds down the right mouse button, the weapon charges and the player model rotates and aims in the direction of the cursor. Adding some sound effects for charging and firing, as well as prefabs for the projectile and some muzzle flash and impact particles, and we have a working weapon. Then I had fun shooting a bunch of enemies for a while before heading back to the board. Some of you guys commented on one of the earlier devlogs about the roll move not looking right. To tell you the truth, I never really liked it either. With the mechanics of the game being more clear now, I wanted to change it into a dash move. I found a pose I liked on Mixamo and changed it up slightly, then altered the move implementation to be quicker and more predictable. The reason is that it needs to be more reliable for the player to use. To test it out, I played around with the short platform parts of the alpha level and tweaked the dash move and the platforms to line up for some smooth platforming. Finally, I added a small indicator beneath the player to make it clear in which exact direction the player is facing, again to add predictability to the movement. This will be much more important later, and getting comfortable with the dash will be crucial in the game's first boss fight that we are currently working on. With the dash and some platforms done, we have reached the end of this devlog episode. Thank you so much for watching, If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, and if you would like to follow along as we continue to build the game, you might want to subscribe to the channel as well. You know how the YouTube algorithm loves comments, so please let me hear your feedback on the new player abilities. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.